What's up, everybody? It's me, O'Deer, aka The O Review, and I'm about to talk about one of the. I want to be nice about this one, but I just can't have myself be up to the task for it. She-Hulk: Attorney at Law, Marvel's newest series on Disney Plus, and I think the precursor to the end of Phase 4, if there is a Phase 4 to ending, I don't know, whatever they're gonna say it for it. Because we got Black Panther and we got the Guardian special and whatever the project they want to put in between all this. But let me talk about the show. The show stars Tatiana Maslany as Jennifer Walters as she gets into an accident leading her into becoming the She-Hulk. But also, this is a legal comedy, so this tells me that Marvel Studios is actually trying to do this whole new sitcom format for their new universe. They tried out Egyptian gods with Moon Knight. They tried out a Christmas holiday special with Hawkeye. They tried grief. They tried racism early on with their projects like WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And even went to the more sci-fi realm in Loki doing time travel. And here we have a legal comedy, which I'm on the fence about because I wanted to like this show. I'm not even saying it as one of those MCU fans who are like, oh, we have too many women heroes. We have Lady Thor. We have Kate Bishop. We have America Chavez. We have now She-Hulk. Woke. It doesn't. I'm not one of those guys. I'm really trying to say something because I know She-Hulk. I love that character from the comics. I knew her from the original Incredible Hulk animated series. But the new way they're trying to develop this character into this show, it's confusing to me to say because I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not know she could break the fourth wall. The only fourth wall breaker I knew was Deadpool. And when I heard that she can break the fourth wall into this show, I'm like, that is interesting, but not one of those characters I feel like should be introducing the fourth wall onto the MCU. Because we need something that actually informs the audience that we're aware of, the audience and the show itself. But I'm gonna get into that. I'm gonna just start right here by saying this. Heavy spoilers, because the show's been out for 9 weeks straight. Everybody's seen it. I've seen it. You've seen it. It's Marvel. Of course, we've all seen it. And I want to talk about the little things I liked, because there was some good to the show. I'm gonna say that. But there's a lot of bad in between, because to be honest, I only liked four out of the 9 episodes of the season. The first episode, the pilot, which was a really good introduction because you got to see Jennifer Walters address the audience as she gets into the accident with Bruce and she starts to learn her powers and go through the motions of becoming a Hulk as she tries to deal with the responsibility of being a superhero and a lawyer. And I loved that about the first episode. That's the thing that pulled me in. I'm like, oh, this show's going to be good. Well, later on, we get filler after filler. Some comedy worked, some of it didn't. There's some storylines I don't even know if the MCU is doing it on a dare where they can feel like, oh, we can do this and say it's funny even though it's not funny. Because I've been noticing this about more of their recent projects, like Moon Knight. One of the biggest ones I was hyped for, they switched out Stephen Grant and turned him into a joke, which I didn't understand because he could have been one of the best characters in the MCU. Same thing with Thor. Thor: Love and Thunder was a full-on comedy, which didn't make sense most of the time after Endgame, because you saw Thor going on a journey of self-responsibility, trying to see who he is. And every single moment of that movie was just a joke. And this show, it was too distracting because most of it worked, some of it did. But then again, I don't know what they're going for. It's not even a legal comedy if it's not even funny. And I'm going to just address this because there are some things I did like about the show. I'm going to start with the positives on this one. Okay, the CGI, though, it's more Zemeckis level. Like, I don't believe it. I could say this about the Incredible Hulk design that they used for Endgame. It looks like Mark Ruffalo, but the thing is, I can actually distinct my mind into seeing it's in Hulk form, but he's just painted green. But with She-Hulk, in certain moments and certain aspects of the series, you can see the CGI on her work, but some of it is uncanny valley, the way they're trying to make it seem like it's real. Like your eyes can project that you're looking at an actual person. Because you see some shots where you see her eyes just dilate, like they're staring, like in the pilot is a big example, where Titania's like, who the hell are you? And she's like, I'm She-Hulk, attorney at law, without any emotion in her eyes. And certain moments in the fight scenes too, Some fight scenes, they were cool. I can say, because you see regular Jennifer Walters fighting in her Hulk form, but not using her strength as like the Hulk would. She's not getting mad. She's that's one of the biggest changes I could say about the show, is that at least they try to use the Jennifer Walters and She-Hulk forms combining, instead of doing the thing where Endgame just transformed Bruce into the Hulk, which is what She-Hulk was gonna be. I like the combination of making her own character as a lawyer, but then again, she's gonna have to transform into the She-Hulk, since what everybody wants to see her as, which is one of the funniest aspects of the MCU I do like. But then again, realistically, I find it weird that nobody finds Jennifer Walters attractive, but they find She-Hulk more hotter than her. I'm like, the nerd in me is like, yeah, She-Hulk's hot, but I'm like, they're both the same picture. They're the same thing. How do you not find her hot? That doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, there's some little tweaks here and there I like about the show. I like some of the legal aspects of it, because this is I think it is the first one. I'm not counting Daredevil, but I'm counting this show as the first way of saying superheroes. There's been a lot of superhero activity, and instead of fighting using the Avengers, sending some squad out there to come take care of these people, why not actually inform these heroes, or people of high evolutionary mutations, wink wink, actually advising the law and making their own division? Instead of fighting them, they could fight them with the law, and they could handle things by the book. That's one of the things I did like about the show, is that not every episode dealt with this. It was more like Law and Order, where every episode dealt with a situation. You'd see some superhero background information saying, oh, this person scammed me into duplicating yourself into somebody else. This person is immortal, and he cheated himself out of embezzlement of divorcing many people. I like that aspect, which is what I felt like the show could have been, but most of it was just straight filler, with some episodes that made sense and some of it didn't. I'm gonna just start with the bad. I want to start with bad, because I really want to get into this, because I can say a lot of good things about the design. I love the casting. I love certain aspects and cameos that show up, which I'm going to talk about later. But the bad, I want to talk about this. This is the straight up bad I'm really going to want to advise right now. The villains. Because, oh my god, you cannot do wrong bringing back Abomination only for him just to be a joke, and not even have him actually feel like a threat by the end of the series. Because when they announced the Abomination was coming back, I was like, okay, they're actually going to do it more comic accurate. And you saw him in Shang-Chi. I was really excited to see the way he was going to go through the show, but no, you don't see the Abomination until a brief moment in the beginning, in episode 3, I believe, and at the very end of the series, which I don't know if it's Universal or Marvel doesn't have any handle of their whole characters. But I really found that irritating, and I did not like the way they handled him. If they want to bring him back, I hope they actually bring him right for the Thunderbolts, because we know that's a movie coming up. You already have a majority of MCU villains in that movie, and it's best to add another one, because he's the only slot I feel like they could actually put on that team. And another villain which didn't make any sense, and which was a big feeling I did not even want to know from the way they described it, Titania, because I know Titania. She's a wrestler. She's one of the most powerful wrestlers in the MCU, even with powers, which could have actually made it a match for She-Hulk to fight. But I don't like the change that they made her an influencer. One of those Instagram divas that just be like, "Oh, hey guys, I'm here on the gram." I don't like that. That's another change I didn't like about the show, and I feel like it didn't mix well with the tone of the show. I don't know why they made these changes in the MCU with their most recent projects, but I don't think that worked out, because it doesn't make her seem like a threat. It just means she's just what are those called? She's basically that one school bully you don't even want to see every time you walk into class, because you know they're just gonna fuck up your day. And I'm gonna just go with this, because this is one of the biggest aspects I don't like about the show. And it really seems like I'm hammering hard on this, but it's just one thing I do for me. I want to know for me, because everything is just a formula with these Disney Plus shows, where at first I could say that the first 5, WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, and Hawkeye. Those were the first ones that actually got the groundworks for the MCU on Disney Plus. Each of them had their own formats. WandaVision was a sitcom which dealt with grief. Falcon and Winter Soldier was trying to spread a social message. Loki is the one show I feel like it actually was important to everybody's movement in the MC for Phase 4 because it was dealing with the multiverse, advising what the multiverse is and time travel, and introducing Kang, which is going to be the villain for Avengers Kang Dynasty and maybe Secret Wars. And I don't feel like they did a good job in advising what is Phase 4, which I feel like is a video in itself, and I'm really thinking out the process for that one. But back to She-Hulk, I want to get to this point. I don't like the way the show is formatted. I don't like how every episode is more of a chore. Like, to me, this is the one series I feel like is just basically homework for the MCU. You're trying to go every week seeing what's going on, but you don't see no payoff. There's no payoff in this show that actually leads me to believe what's going to happen next in the MCU. You don't see nothing. You don't see anything that progresses the show instead of introducing new characters and new situations for the future movies to actually deal with as soon as we see them in the movies. And I feel like anything else I want to talk about that's bad? CGI, villains. Oh yeah, the finale. Okay. This is where I feel like I should put in the good into play, because I want to get off this subject because I really don't. Okay, the good in the show. One, I love Tatiana Maslany. She was really good at mixing well the worlds of Jennifer Walters and She-Hulk. It was cute. I like that Jennifer Walters is basically like Bruce Banner, where her lawyer self is the nerdy, out of her, not too confident in herself, but as soon as she transforms into She-Hulk, she's confident. She can do whatever she wants. She feels more independent and becoming who she wants to be. And throughout the show, you see that in certain aspects when she, like, I can say this, episode 4 dealt with her dating life. And the people she used to swipe on Tinder or whatever app she was using, they liked the She-Hulk. But later on in the next episode, when Titania takes her identity and trademarks her name, she sees that the people that she dated before in the previous episode, they don't even like her in general. They just like She-Hulk for what she represents. And it actually shows more character Jennifer Walters, because it feels like now that she has this double identity, she doesn't know what people think of her in general. Same thing with later on. I'm kind of skipping through this because this is more of the character development episodes. In episode 7, when she meets up with Emil Blonsky, and she's in that social group and she's trying to talk out her feelings, that she doesn't know what she wants for herself, because it feels like now that she's a lawyer, she doesn't even know if anybody even likes her, if she's alone in the world. I like those episodes because they actually showed Jennifer Walters as a character, not as a joke. And certain things that the MCU hasn't talked about is more the comparison between the male hero and the female version of that hero. Like in Thor: Love and Thunder, I'm gonna just give this a shot. That Jane, she felt like she could be a Thor while also still helping people when she has her cancer. While Thor is still the butt of the joke, he feels like he's the strong one, always trying to prove himself better, but he doesn't see that she's actually trying to prove herself to him and showing that she can be a hero too without actually falling on the name of Thor. And the same thing with She-Hulk. She's her own person. She's not like the Hulk. She's as strong as the Hulk, but it doesn't mean she's just a character deviation just to say there's a female version of that hero. And I'm just feel like that's the one thing this show could have actually improved on, instead of spending a couple episodes villain of the week or doing whatever side story or B plot they wanted to do. And this is where I'm going to get to the best part, the cameos. We don't see Bruce until for the first 2 episodes, and he's gone throughout the series until the finale. Wong, I love his episodes, knowing how sorcery and how he's still the Sorcerer Supreme, everything is still in canon after Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. And the best one of it all, when we finally get our introduction or reintroduction of Daredevil into the MCU, which I was happy that Charlie Cox actually played himself like the Netflix shows, where even though he's in a different costume, the suit's more classic based. I can't remember his name, who drew the yellow and red costume. I wasn't a fan of that costume, but for the tone of this series, it kind of worked. I would have wanted to see him in the red and black, but we're going to get that later on when he gets his own Disney Plus series. Or maybe in Spider-Man 4, because I've been hearing a lot about Daredevil and Spider-Man joining up at some point. And I did love that episode because it actually gets the feeling more grounded of the Netflix series. Because you see a scene where he's using his echolocation detecting the people in the warehouse. He's actually getting in a hallway fight, and he actually got to smash She-Hulk for real. And I actually don't like Matt. That's Matt. That's good old Matt. And I can't wait to see what happens with him moving forward in the MCU, because now that they're reintroducing the Netflix heroes, I wonder if they can bring in anybody else for another show, because I know for Daredevil Born Again, I don't know if they're going to bring back Punisher or at least Jessica Jones, Luke, Danny. I don't know if they're going to bring them into the series or have them deviate into their own Disney Plus shows if they want to use those characters again. But I can't wait to see what happens next for Daredevil. Okay, the finale. I'm going to just get to the point of the finale, because I feel like either this was just lazy writing or something clever that they had their own version of the ending, but something told me that they switched it last minute, because what happens is episode earlier than that, after when Daredevil shows up, Jennifer Walters goes to a gala, and this dude Todd, which is basically Bargain Bin Tony Stark, I didn't like his character at all. He felt like just a guy in the way. And doesn't make sense the more I'm going to explain it, the way what happens, before I really explain the twist of this episode. So what happens is, he creates this social group of guys who actually don't like She-Hulk, and which commentated on our views of female heroes going on in the MCU, that there's too many female heroes, MCU, as I've been hearing people call it now. And now that we see later on, he steals She-Hulk's blood. He injects himself, and he turns into a version of Hulk himself. While you see the Abomination show up, he's actually trying to help Jen. And then you see Titania busted one door. Hulk, Bruce Banner, comes into another door, fights Abomination. And you see Jennifer's like, okay, all these twists I think don't make sense. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what is happening. This doesn't make any sense until, boom, you go to the Disney Plus screen on the Marvel section, and you see She-Hulk jump out of her show, breaking the 4th wall or 16th wall, don't know, depending on if it's not a streaming series, and breaks into the Disney lot, going into Marvel Studios, trying to talk with the writers about what's going on with my show, why are we doing this, and actually fights her way to find Kevin Feige as a robot, abbreviation Kevin, which in itself I'm like, that is cool, but then again I'm like, what's going on? Why is she breaking the 4th wall? Why are we doing this in a series that doesn't make sense? Because this is different than everything we've seen before, and I love the meta-ness of it, but I don't like that it was She-Hulk that brought in that meta-ness, because I feel like the 4th wall breaking in the show didn't work for the last couple episodes, because I barely noticed it, and you only saw it for the first four episodes. And to be honest, if it were me, and I was rewriting this scene, I would have made it so it was Deadpool going in and out of the MCU, breaking into Marvel Studios, since we already had the Deadpool 3 announcement, and have him talk to Kevin Feige, almost in a correlation to what happened in Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. When after he kills all the heroes, he goes over into the real world and kills his writers and creators. I feel like it could have been the same differentiation, but you see a Deadpool who knows how to break the 4th wall and who knows how to make fun of the MCU, which they kind of do make fun of, where a lot of stories have come out recently about the MCU that VFX artists are overbooked, they're being underpaid, have too much time to perfect something before they move on to the next projects, which I found kind of funny. But then again, I don't know if it's for the cleverness of what's been going on, or I feel like they had this plan and they knew, but I feel like they didn't, because some of it actually feels like they knew what was going on, and they switched this finale with a different finale, which was going to be the original finale, where they just made, I feel like the response of She-Hulk is what made this version of the finale happen, because the way what happens is that Jennifer fixed all the lazy writing, where she takes down Todd by taking him to court. Titania, she's not a villain. Blonsky goes back to jail after breaking his parole as Abomination, and Hulk doesn't show up to save the day, and you only see She-Hulk just handle her business just as is, like it's nothing, and you see Matt come into frame, jumping down from whatever he came from, and you see everything is resolved. Like, you don't see what happens, and I don't know if it's just lazy writing just to write this over and finish the show, get through whatever they were about to finish, and just move on, because I like the moment, but like, I still need a resolution to the show, and not a way of saying, oh, this show was a joke and we know it was a joke. No, you did not have that plan from the beginning, because this finale doesn't match the whole series as it was going, as it started, and how is the story's been progressing over time. Because I don't even find this ending unfulfilling, because it doesn't show what's gonna happen next. Like you see Matt. This is another thing. Matt Murdock and Jennifer Walters. I don't know if they're gonna be a thing, because you know he's gonna go back to New York. You see Hulk come back, bringing in Scar, which I felt like could have been a good twist if they try to show what Bruce has been doing in between the series. Because you see Hulk go into space at the end of episode 2, and he comes back at the finale, introduces Scar to the MCU, which I'm kind of trying to get used to that man bun design. And I feel like Stan Lee's somewhere still giving out haircuts, because I don't know what happened, but they gave this dude an egg fucking dome, which I'm like, no, I want to redesign. I want the Warrior design. But yeah, that's it. That's the end of the show. And post-credit scene is just Wong taking Abomination back to Kamar-Taj, and that's it. Nothing. I just don't know. I want to be nice to the show, but I feel like if the MCU is going to find a way to improve itself going forward, they have to take their time with their projects. Because Werewolf by Night, I haven't talked about that one yet because I still haven't seen it. From what I've been hearing, it's one of those projects where I feel like they had time. They knew what they wanted to do, and I feel like if these next couple Marvel shows and movies take their time with what they want to do and what they want to set up for the further MCU, because we already know where we're going. We know the end game. We know where we're going in Phase 6 leading up to Secret Wars. And all we want is the path to get there. We got the Fantastic Four coming. We got Deadpool, maybe the X-Men on their way. We got everybody else in their own individual movies setting up their path going forward. I just want the MCU to have focus, because I really can't handle another MCU project if they don't know where they're going and whether or not they're going to lead into something very important. Because we only have 2 more things for this phase. We have Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and the Guardians Holiday Special before we get into Phase 5 in February with Ant-Man. I hope the MCU can try to do something with this moving forward, because I don't know, I'm starting to get, I don't even want to say this, because I'm starting to get some Marvel fatigue, and I don't even want to be that person. I'm sick of the MCU. I don't like what they're doing, because this phase isn't even nothing. This phase doesn't mean anything. It feels like more setup for characters, but not the story as a whole. And I guess, yeah, I'm going to have to try to do a part 2. I'm really trying to get on that Phase 4 video. And I feel like that's it. That's my review for She-Hulk. It's not good, but if you can take some enjoyment out of it, it's a legal comedy. Some people like it, some of it don't. Just because it didn't please me doesn't mean it can please you. I know some people who like the show, who like the comedy, but yeah, this, as a longtime Marvel fan who actually knows the characters, this didn't do it for me. This is the one Marvel project I'm like, I'm sorry, but if I were to redo this, I would have done a 6-episode format the same way you've been doing it always. Just 6 individual episodes, time to expand the characters, rewrite the stories, and actually finish it all in one tiny bow. And that's it. That's all my thoughts for She-Hulk. Oh my god, I really wanted to like this show so much, but nothing could have won me over for it. Alright guys, that's all I could say for today. If this is going to be the way I'm going to start talking about shows or movies I don't like, I hope this weekend actually gives me satisfaction with what I'm going to see. Alright guys, this is O'Deer, aka The Overview, signing off. Bye guys.